DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Share with y'all the simple 3-step process to get off the bench and in the game in life. This is not necessarily a sports topic, but you absolutely can use this in sports. You absolutely can use it as an entrepreneur. You can use it in the professional business world if you're working at a company or you're trying to get on working at a company. Anywhere in life where you have to have a certain level of skill to get the ROI that you want, to get paid the way you want to get paid, or get the attention, the relevance, the admiration, the satisfaction, whatever it is that you want. Simple 3 steps. The first step in anything, if you want to get good, you want to get paid, you want to be known, is you must work on your game. Now, I don't think you're very surprised by the guy who has a hat that says work on your game telling you to work on your game. You got to put the time in, you got to put the effort in, you have to develop the skill, develop the game to do the things that you do. All right, that's not a surprise to anybody, right? There's no one who's watching this who doesn't understand that you do have to put some work in order to get a result. All right, obviously you know what I'm about. That's why you're watching this. You know I'm gonna talk about something like that. So you have to put the time in to work on your game. Now here's the thing about working on your game. Just because you are at work and doing work doesn't necessarily mean you're doing the right work. It doesn't mean that the work that you're doing is going to produce a result. Now, coming from as an athlete, my background as a professional athlete, I hear from athletes all the time who would say things like, Dre, I'm practicing all the time, but I don't feel like I'm getting better. What's the problem? The problem is usually the problem that for any athlete asking me that question is that they don't know what they're doing. Yes, you're working. Yes, you're at the park. You're at the gym. You're lifting weights. You're doing dribbling drills, but you have no rhyme or reason to what you're doing. There's no strategy behind it. You don't know what it looks like to get better because you've never seen it before. No wonder you're not getting any results despite the fact that you're putting out all this effort. This is why you need to go find yourself a coach. Find yourself a trainer. Go buy a program online. Go to hoophandbook.com. We got programs for $20. Get the program so you know what you need to be doing that is taught to you by somebody who knows what it looks like to get better. If you don't know, of course you're not going to get the result. And understand something. Even professionals have coaches and trainers. Stephen Curry has a trainer. Michael Jordan had a trainer. The best motivators or speakers or business people that you know of, they all have coaches. So understand that when I tell you need to have a trainer or a coach or somebody who knows what they're doing, I'm not belittling you and telling you it's because you're a bum. Maybe it is because you're a bum, but everybody has a trainer. Everybody who's good has a trainer. LeBron James has a trainer. Beyonce has a coach for her voice. Everybody who's good has a trainer. They have a mentor. They have somebody who is smarter than them, who can see what they can't see, who helps them get better. You are not an exception. So working on your game does not just mean go and do stuff and then think you're supposed to get a result just because. Know what you're doing. And since you probably don't know what you're doing, go find somebody who does, who can help you. So that's the first step, working on your game. Second step is you got to show your game. What does showing your game mean? That means letting the people who have the power to move your career forward, they have to know that you're actually good. Because just because you're good doesn't mean anything. My background in sports, I played Division III college basketball. I walked on at a D3 school. Played D3 ball, but I didn't have crazy stats. And any of y'all who know the sports world knows that just because you played D3 doesn't matter what you did. It's only D3. No pro team is scouting D3 games for the most part. So when I wanted to play overseas, the fact that I played D3 it didn't really matter what I had done there because the overseas teams didn't care. And even if I had killed over there, they still wouldn't know me because they weren't coming to the games and watching us. They were watching the D1 guys, right? And maybe the D2 guys. So what I had to do, I had to go to an exposure camp. For those of you who know what that is, like a job fair for athletes. I went there, I showed my game there, and that's how I got on overseas. It wasn't what I did in college that got me on, it's what I did at that exposure camp that got me on. And the exposure camp was only 2 days, whereas college was 4 years. So go figure the difference between the investments. But I had to go through those 2 days and do my thing in those 2 days in order to get on. The right people saw me there, and that's how I got my career started. So showing your game means not just having game and feeling like people should recognize you. It is you doing the things that you need to do to make sure the right people recognize you. And that's what showing your game means. You got to show your game to the right people who matter. So if you got a bunch of people looking at you, but none of them have any power to help you get a job or help you move your career forward, or none of them can afford the product that you're selling, does it matter that they're looking at it? Not really. Make sense? So if you're selling something that costs $1,000, but everybody in your audience can't afford anything that costs more than $20, does it matter that you have 1 million people looking at you? Not really, because they can't afford to buy what you're selling. So if you have 100 people who can pay that $1,000 versus 1 million people who can't, which audience matters more? The 100. Why? Because they can do what you need them to do. So every audience member is not equal. So some people can do a lot more for you than others. It might be one person in the room who can help you move forward in your career, while there's 100 people who can't do shit for you, but they're there. Doesn't matter what they're doing or what they think. No, because they can't do anything. They got no power anyway. So showing your game means showing it to the right people at the right time in the right place. And the third step is getting the ROI for your game. ROI stands for return on investment. What does that mean? You put an investment in to get good, right? Working on your game, work is an investment. There are 5 forms of investment. I talked about this in episode 609 of my podcast that you can get at workonyourgamepodcast.com. Those 5 forms: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. You got to put these in to get good at anything. Anything you're good at, you put these in. If you have a career, you put in all 5. If you're good in sports, you put in all 5. You have a relationship with your significant other, with your parents, with your kids, you have put in all 5. So once you put in that investment, you want to get something out of the investment, right? So getting the ROI is a part of the job. That's not something that automatically happens. Just because you're good at basketball doesn't mean you're going to get a job playing basketball. Just because you're good at telling jokes doesn't mean you're a comedian. Just because you're pretty doesn't mean you're automatically a model. All right, you had to do some things to make sure people know about it, and then you had to create the exchange. So the exchange is, when I wanted to play overseas, I got an agent. That agent, he started shopping me around to get a job. He hit me up and said, yo, is this team in Europe, they want to sign you to a deal? I said yes. We did the deal. I signed the contract. Then I got paid. But I had to do something to get that money. Just because I was good didn't mean all of a sudden everybody in the world was beating down my door to sign me to a contract. Not in my situation. So maybe sometimes in life it will happen like that, but many times it doesn't. You have to take action in order to get that attention to come towards you. So that is creating the ROI. If you're a model, for example, or you're a pretty girl or a pretty guy and people tell you that you should be a model, just because you think you're pretty doesn't mean you all of a sudden got a modeling contract with the biggest modeling agency in the world. You got to go do a photo shoot. You got to go to some casting calls. You got to get a modeling card made, whatever they call those things. You got to go do something. Go get an agent. You got to go to some shoots, do some stuff, walk the catwalk, whatever you got to do in the modeling world in order to get known in that space. If you're an entrepreneur and you think you got a great idea and you should probably write books, you still got to sit down and write the book. And then once you write it, you got to let people know about it, and then you got to get them to go buy it. Like, you had to do something to create that ROI. So just being good is not enough. People have to actually know about you. And these 3 steps all must be taken by you in order to get what you want. So those 3 steps, again, to get off the bench and in the game. Number 1, work on your game. Developing skill with help from someone who knows what they're doing. Number 2, show your game. Just because you are good and people are watching you, are the people watching you, do they have any power to help you move forward? If the answer is no, then it doesn't matter that they're watching. You need to be seen by people who can do something, not just some nobody motherfuckers who are watching and talking about you. And number 3, get the ROI for your game, meaning create the exchange. I've written books. I got a book right here, but if just having this book means nothing if I can't get you to go to mirrorofmotivation.com and get the book. So just because you have something doesn't mean anybody else is going to benefit from it. The ROI is when they benefit. It is my job to make sure you get this book. Otherwise, you don't get any of the value within the book. Just the fact that I wrote it means nothing. I already know what's in the book. You don't know. The only way you're going to know is by getting the book. And if I don't do my job of persuading you to go get it, then it doesn't matter that I wrote it. So the ROI is the 3rd step. So work on your game, show your game, get paid for your game. These are the 3 steps to get you off the bench and into the game and anything that you do in life. And speaking of this book right here, go to mirrorofmotivation.com. That's the link down below. I'll give you this book for free. All you have to do is cover the shipping. I will ship it to you anywhere you live in the world. Mirrorofmotivation.com. Book's free. All you do is cover the shipping. And my text number is down there as well, 305-384-6894. Send me a text, say what's up, ask me a question. You got a topic suggestion for a video. I probably already did it, but I'll send you a link to it if you ask me for something I already did. Again, that link is down there, or the number is down there in the description. My link to this book is down in the description, and that's that. Work on your game. Dre all day. We out.